Hello everyone, my name is Citlali, and recently I've learned some very important things that I would like to share with you all. First, I would like for you to think about how much do you know about disabilities or anything about disability rights. I went to public school K through 12 and now I'm in my first year of college, and this is probably my first time learning about disabilities and disability rights. In this video, I would like to inform you on some history of people with disabilities, also some barriers that people with disabilities have had or have, and the importance on things and places being accessible for all. And also, I would like to show you some vocab or terms that are more inclusive. Let's briefly talk about history of disabilities and disability rights. First, we'll talk about forced institutionalization, forced sterilization, then disability rights movement. In the 19th century, segregation was a norm. Putting people into institutions was a way to deal with what society didn't know what to do with. Because disabilities was not widely comprehended, society couldn't understand. We as a society pushed these people away and put them in institutions where the conditions were really bad. They were often crowded, in cages. Many couldn't see their family for many years. They were sexually abused, experimented on, and they didn't have enough staff. And the staff they did have was underpaid. One example of an institution that had really bad conditions was Willowbrook State School. Geraldo Rivera from ABC News went to expose this school and published many pictures, and the family of the patients that were in Willowbrook didn't even know that this was happening. Another part of history on disabilities was that there were many people who were forced to sterilization. In the beginning of the 20th century, Charles Davenport and Harry Laughlin started a eugenics movement. They wanted to stop people with, quotation marks, undesirable traits from reproducing. The eugenics movement got society viewing disabilities as a punishment from God. Then there was a Supreme Court case, Carrie Buck versus John Hendren Bell, where it legalized the sterilization of people with intellectual disabilities or people who were thought to have intellectual disabilities. This case was never expressly overturned. In the 1900s, there was an increase of activism for many marginalized groups. The civil rights movement served as an inspiration for many others, including the disability rights movement. Two of the many enacted laws are the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. The Rehabilitation Act of 1973 were laws that prohibit discrimination based on gender, sex, ethnicity, race, abilities, or religion. Section 501 was for federal, state, and local government services, and Section 504 was for workplaces and activities or programs regarding the workplace. These laws were on paper but not really implemented. Then ADA came into force, the Americans with Disabilities Act. These laws gave people with disabilities what were long overdue rights to access into buildings, federal activities and spaces, education, public parks, and other general public spaces. Under the ADA, there are 5 titles. In 2010, there was a revision in the Title III section of the ADA, and it stated that old buildings must install ramps if they are able to do so. The ADA helps implement closed captioning, braille, interpreters for sign language, service dogs, and wheelchair van accessible parking. Universal design is everywhere and we just don't even know it. This idea is so awesome because with some adjustments, many things that are accessible for some can be accessible for all. This idea is made to make services usable for anyone regardless of age, size, or abilities. Universal design is everywhere and we probably just didn't even realize it. Sometimes simple changes like changing a doorknob to a door handle is very important because there are for people who can't grip have an easier time with the door handle. Finally, please take your time to read the language that is on the screen. I will not go through it all because I'll probably drive you crazy with all my talking if I haven't done so already. But using correct terminology is important. Always use person-first language unless the person you are talking to has told you otherwise. Using person-first language reinforces the idea that whoever you may be talking to, they are a person, and it validates them. The language we all use with others is very powerful and it shapes our beliefs. If we stop using limiting terms, we can start more conversations on how we as a society can change to have more inclusivity. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you all learned some information on disabilities, and I encourage you all to research some more on these topics.